Hello, I am Agricultural Training Consultant Park Seung-in. My lecture will be about the 6th Industrialization Development Practices of Agricultural and Fishing Villages in Korea and other countries in the world and their implications. I will first talk about understanding the 6th industrialization of agricultural and fishing villages. Then I will move on to the 6th industrialization development practices of agricultural and fishing villages in Korea and other agriculturally developed countries in the world. Lastly, I will look into fostering policies and implications. Let's go over the features of agricultural and fishing villages. But first, what is the definition of an agricultural and fishing village? The territorial space can be largely divided into urban areas and agricultural and fishing villages. However, such division is only conceptual and it is, in fact, difficult to clearly distinguish one from the other as some characteristics coexist in both areas. In economic terms, an agricultural and fishing village is defined as a region where the industrial structure is centered on agriculture, forestry, and fisheries. The OECD classifies an agricultural region if more than 15% of the population of the region works in the agriculture, forestry, and fisheries industry. The major residence types are village or village communities, and the people in the area live rural lifestyle. In terms of land use, an agriculture and fishing village is defined as a region where the land is mostly used for agricultural purposes. Now I would like to go through the general features of agriculture and fishing villages. Complexity of use of space. Since the same space is used for agricultural production and residential life in many cases, the area simultaneously serves production and living environment-based function. Incomplete residence following the low residential density. Agricultural areas generally have very small residential unit and are dispersed, leading to low residential density. As an agricultural and fishing village is difficult to form an independent living space like that of an urban area, it established dual structure of central area and back village. Predominance of usage of agricultural resources. It is necessary for an agriculture and fishing village to adopt a locational approach to secure prime farmland and high-quality agricultural water that are prerequisite for agricultural activities. Continuous preservation of land and natural environment upon activities in agriculture, forestry, and fisheries. The ecosystem of farmlands, grasslands, forests, and waters held by agricultural and fishing villages is not only crucial for the primary agricultural production, but also for circulative use of natural resources. In this regard, the foremost priority is to preserve land and secure sustainability for maintaining and cultivating regional environment. A planned approach is required to resolve regional problems in agriculture and fishing villages. Relative simple and homogeneous agricultural areas are also met with regional differentiation following industrialization and informatization. Agricultural and fishing village planning is a regional planning for an agricultural and fishing village based on geographical category. The ultimate goal of the planning is to raise the quality of life of people. Since the agricultural and fishing villages have become more complex with high correlation than the past, it is necessary to have a more planned approach. It is important to respond systematically to heated competition and conflict between regions based on the differentiation caused from different industrial, employment, and social organizational structures. Since it is public plan, the functional subject can be central and local governments, a resident consensus body, or a resident organization or any bodies that are vested with public authority. However, the fundamental subject has to be the local inhabitants. The planning region is the agriculture and fishing village, and the planning goal is to cultivate a land where sustainable living is possible. In this respect, an agricultural and fishing village planning can be defined as a plan in which a public agency or organization establishes necessary measures and draw implementation norms to ensure sustainable living of inhabitants in agricultural and fishing villages. Next, I would like to talk about Galji village of Gyeongnam-gun as one of the 6 industrialization development practices of agriculture and fishing villages in Korea. Galji village is located at 6-2 Jinhae-gil, Gyeongchang-읍, Gyeongchang-gun, Gyeongsangnam-do. The population of the village amounts to 282 inhabitants with 132 households. The village resources include a small stream, a walking trail, a windbreak forest, a library, a helper center, an effective microorganism incubation room, and a wetland as well as organic produce such as apples, hanu beef, and blueberries. Galji village, which is known for the legend of Princess Sunhwa of Silla, respects filial piety from generation to generation and is a beautiful place surrounded by green windbreak forest. However, in the past, the village had been so severely polluted with the inflow of wastewater, agricultural pesticides, and neglected wastes that people were unable to live there. The village inhabitants combined their efforts to change the village into a pleasant place where people will want to live in by carrying out campaigns to build a beautiful agricultural village and to revive the small stream. Galji village became the first village to have conducted the campaign to revive the small stream, which is a part of the movement for integrated water management in basins. Galji village inhabitants joined the campaign to create a beautiful agricultural village when the inhabitants were seeking ways to turn the village into a clean and pleasant place. They visited other converted villages for their references, attended agricultural forums, and received education on green agricultural techniques to change the awareness of the inhabitants in order to resolve the prolonged conflicts among them. By promoting communication and creating a sense of bond between the inhabitants, they were stirred with local patriotism and confidence. The village became full of vitality. Galji village inhabitants pooled their efforts to purify the village environment. By working together, they have cleaned up the stream and planted irises and reeds around the small stream and other flowers in the village. Having revived the village with the participation of the inhabitants, marsh snails and crawfish are back in the stream. The village has set 3 key initiatives: beautiful agricultural environment, beautiful and safe agricultural produce, and beautiful village inhabitants. They have also established 30 action plans to support the initiatives. At present, Galji village has a reputation for its transformation, and 50 to 60 villages visit Galji every year to benchmark its work. The village has resorted the History Museum of Mills and built 6 industrial leading farms and network to turn the village into a place where hands-on activities can be experienced. Reviving the small stream was the sense of converting to a healthy village. It was a campaign to revive the polluted small stream caused by neglected wastes, agricultural pesticides, and wastewater illegally released from livestock farms. The inhabitants cleaned the village, prohibited illegal disposal of waste, produced green compost, and conducted green farming such as snail farming to resolve problems brought by stench and pollution. Now the small stream flows with clean level 1 water. In addition, the village has built a PR education center and produced video records and leaflets to bring changes to the awareness of the inhabitants. The village carried out a project to improve the basin area around the small stream by establishing a waste recycling depository, rain shelters, facilities for animal sheds, and an EM fermentation solution production facility. Such projects made Galji village become the first village to have conducted the campaign to revive the small stream as part of the movement for integrated water management in basins. The village has been widely covered by the media and emerged as a venue for study tours and education. Following its reputation, around 2,100 people from 55 groups and villages have visited Galji over the past 2 years. The vice mayor of Dalat city of Lom Dong province of Vietnam and his delegation visited Galji village to benchmark the campaign to revive the small stream. The success factors for Galji village are as follows. First, reviving the small stream around the polluted village. Second, the awareness of the importance of human resources, including village inhabitants and children, are future resources. Last, the care for the next generations. Here you can see the picture of the memorial stone representing that Galji village was the first to have conducted the campaign to revive the small stream. Other pictures show the vice mayor of Dalat city and his delegation looking around the village and the PR center. Next, 장독대 village in Kyodong, 포천시, 경기도. The village is located at 14811 신교동, 관인면, 포천시, 경기도. It is a small agricultural village with a population of 82 inhabitants with 25 households. Kyodong Jangdokdae village has been a mining town where the inhabitants were the village natives and the displaced people from the Korean War. Ever since the establishment of the Hantan River Dam in 2006, the village became the home to the residents of submerged area and urban to rural migrants. It was necessary to look for projects that could yield high value added as the village that had been submerged faced dissolution and primary production was impossible due to the absence of fertile land for farming. The village therefore promoted a number of agricultural hands-on activities based on their abundant environmental resources, including the Pigeon Nest Waterfall, Hantan River Sky Bridge, Hantan River Trekking, and Basalt Gorge. From the village that once had been with hope and dream, they have changed their mindset and created a community and various agricultural hands-on activities to make profit. Along with these hands-on activities, the village also runs a 3-meal-a-day dining program. Some of the village specialties include jang, dried persimmons, hangwa, and mulberry jam. By letting the city dwellers make taste village specialties, they will not only acknowledge that the specialties are safe to eat but also can understand and have sympathy with the rural culture. Hands-on activities help increase the educational value of the experience. The village is working on developing programs that touch on the emotions and characters of the people. Furthermore, the village will plant more mulberry trees to make the processing of mulberries, mulberry leaves, and silkworms into a program. The village will develop more traditional agricultural hands-on activity programs to raise income, create more jobs, and to promote cooperation in the village community. The goal of the village is to become not just an economic community, but also a welfare and cultural community. The village community will combine efforts for the economic independence of the village and build a social safety net to establish the foundation for physical and psychological support. Furthermore, the village will enhance the financial soundness of the village community through the stabilization of profit. By operating funds, the village will provide pension benefits to the elders aged 70 or older. In addition, the village plans to transform the place into a park-like atmosphere by encouraging gardening at home. The village will become a place where you can stay at ease as if you are back at your hometown. Agricultural hands-on activity programs to understand the tradition of the village include making jang, gochujang, a rice clay, engaging in food therapy with agricultural produce, and baking cookies. The village also runs a 3-meal-a-day dining program. The participants are provided with instructions and a treasure map where they can harvest agricultural produce and cook them for themselves. It is a great way to experience and learn how traditional specialties were made. The village is the first in Korea to have introduced farm stay, where people can find out the true value of agricultural village. The village is the pioneer of farm stay program. The village is regarded as a place with artistic value and the program highlights what you can see, eat and enjoy, and 3 values of agriculture. The program is targeted for city dwellers, and the village also has reached sisterhood relationships with city communities such as a company or school. The success factors for Jangdokdae village are as follows. First, restoring confidence that what they hope for is possible. Second, creating jobs through capacity building of the inhabitants. Last, developing agricultural hands-on activity programs that you can see, listen, and enjoy. Here in this picture, you can see the view of Jangdokdae of Gyodong village. Jangdokdae has a long history. Jangdokdae is found in the mural paintings of Anak Tom of 4th century in Hwanghae-do, which shows that the history goes back much deeper. Since jang is one of the most important condiment in Korean kitchen, a middle-class house would place Korean traditional crocks outside in 2 or 3 rows. Larger crocks storing soybean paste or soy sauce would be placed in the back row, while smaller crocks storing red chili paste or rich soybean paste in the front row to equally receive sunlight. Other pictures show the hands-on activity centers and people participating in the programs, a small brook, and a summer house. Imshil Cheese Village is located at Cheese Village, Imshil읍, Imshil군, 전라북도. The population of the village is 238 inhabitants with 112 households. The village resources include cheese hands-on activity programs, village festivals, local food stores, and restaurants. Imshil Cheese Village is the first in Korea to have launched an agricultural hands-on activity program under the theme of cheese. After becoming the chef of the Imshil Cathedral in 1967, the late father Ji Jung-hwan began to raise 2 goats to produce cheese, as he thought the topography of the village was well suited for cheese production. What had been an effort to help the inhabitants suffering from economic hardships has led to the creation of the cheese village. Father Ji and the village inhabitants joined efforts to establish and run a number of hands-on activity programs such as cheese making program, goat feeding program, and music concerts. Even though the cheese village has become the leading model for agricultural household income, there were some challenges to overcome. The cheese hands-on activity programs, the driving force of the village, were not diverse enough and were at standstill, making it difficult to encourage repeat visits. Furthermore, it was difficult for the cheese village to maintain its competitive edge as other villages began to conduct similar hands-on activity programs. Since the whole village turned into a place of business, the village had to put extra efforts into the beautification of the environment. The livestock manure produced for the process of making dairy products has caused stench and environmental issues. Another challenge was the shortage of human resources to run the hands-on activity programs due to the aging of the inhabitants. In 2014, the Cheese Village founded the Imshil Cheese Rainbow Corporation jointly with other villages within the province, producer organizations, and individual consumers. By providing more diverse and distinctive hands-on activity programs and expanding more service facilities, the satisfaction of visitors and the income of inhabitants have increased. With more diverse hands-on activities such as cheese bread making program, goat farm program, goat milk soap making program, cultivator riding program, queso blanco cheese making program, and cheese red bean porridge making program, the satisfaction of visitors has enhanced. The village built a small-scale cheese processing plant for those who want to see cheese processing for themselves. The village also runs a program where you can try cheese tasting with the cured cheese produced from its milk processing plant. By grafting the Sangha Yutpan remains onto the cheese programs, the village provides a fun experience for men and women of all ages. Such activities include listening to the story of Imshil Yut game, making Yut-shaped cheese and Yutpan pizza, playing human Yut game, making wishes with Yut fortune teller, and trying traditional eatery. Other annual events include the first full moon of the year event, small music concerts, and harvest festivals. The village also provides tailored services to visitors by running direct stores of village specialties, including cheese and yogurt, and restaurants where they can enjoy pork cutlet, bibimbap, grilled pork, and soybean soup, all added with cheese. Such hands-on activity programs have created jobs and income for inhabitants. The direct stores have recorded KRW 3 billion of sales from 2011 to 2016. Among the sales, the income of inhabitants amounts to KRW 2.2 billion. Around 60 jobs related to hands-on activities are created every year, enabling operating personnel to secure income of inhabitants. The cheese village has created jobs for the inhabitants and increased their income through the sixth industrialization of agriculture villages based on cheese hands-on activities. By operating village funds, the village utilizes the funds for the welfare of the elderly, scholarships for college students, and giving back to the society. The village also operates a cooperative bank to maintain and develop the village community. Village currency was established in 2017 to encourage communication and participation from the inhabitants. If an inhabitant attends a meeting held by the village committee, he or she will receive KRW 1 million of village currency that can be used to purchase goods and participate in hands-on activities. As a result of the efforts provided by the inhabitants, such as operating a number of hands-on activity programs, around 2,500 people per month and 3 million people per year visit Imsil Cheese Village. More than 100,000 people visit the village in the year when festivals or events are held. The Cheese Village plans to develop and operate a program combining farm tour, cheese processing, hands-on activity, and cheese dish. It also plans to operate farming experience program and campsite, establish trails, install non-powered portable devices, and renovate the stream walkway. By holding more seasonal festivals, the village hopes to become a happy village where visitors can socialize with each other. Here the pictures show the entrance of Imsil Cheese Village and the Imsil N Cheese Festival, where you can smell the savory cheese all day. The Imsil N Cheese Festival is held at the Imsil Cheese Theme Park, an Imsil Cheese Village that boasts fairy tale-like scenery where you can make cheese, bake cookies with cheese, attend children's show or an EDM party, or enjoy the night parade. During the festival, you can buy fresh and delicious specialties produced from Imsil-gun. This picture shows children engaging in a cheese hands-on activity program. Now I would like to talk about the development practices of agricultural and fishing villages in the world. First is Furano, an agricultural village in Japan. Furano, located in the center of northern Hokkaido, is 2 hours east from Sapporo. Furano is a beautiful city where colorful flowers bloom from April to October. Farm Tomita represents Furano. First began with lavender flowers, Farm Tomita became famous as it was featured in a Japan Railway calendar. Farm Tomita is around 12 hectares large and attracts 1 million visitors every year. Farm Tomita is one of the best practices of scenic agriculture that is based on floricultural industry, which is the absolute priority of development of agricultural and fishing villages in Korea. Even though lavender is not one of the leading native plants in Japan, the farm cultivates lavender flowers to commercialize lavender perfume, soap, potpourri, dried flowers, and flavoring agent. The climax of the farm is between June and July when the purple lavender flowers are fully bloomed. The farm earns profit by producing lavender oil through secondary processing and selling processed goods such as dried flowers and lavender soft serve ice cream. Higashinakaji Kamifura Nocho is located around 4 km east from Farm Tomita and is where lavender flowers are concentrated in clusters. In summer, it is famous for its tourist farm. From Furano, to the east lies the peak of Tokachi-dake Mountain and to the west lies Urabi Mountains, the magnificent scenery that cannot be replicated in other places. In the farm, there are souvenir shops and restaurants along with the Farm Tomita Library. The pictures show fully bloomed colorful lavender flowers in Farm Tomita, the cultivation of flowers in the lavender oil manufacturing plant. Next, BA Village in Japan. In the past, the land of BA used to be barren due to volcanic eruption and erosion. After years of reclamation of farmland and farming, BA began to be furnished with the agricultural scenery that we see today. Most of all, landscape photographer Shinzo Maeda was so intrigued by the agricultural scenery of BA in 1971 that he took photographs of the village in each season, which became famous and led to attracting tourists. Later on, some TV commercials for cigarette and car were filmed in BA. In consequence, the scenic spots for commercial became more famous and attract more people. The scenic spots include Mild Seven Hills, Ken and Mary Tree, and Seven Star Tree. Blue Pond, which actually houses dead trees, is a man-made pond to prevent the damage from volcanic eruptions. The blueness of the pond is the result of a mixture of limestone and volcanic ash with sunlight. In any case, you can take the most stunning picture of the blue pond in BA. Patchwork Road is named for a hilly area that looks like a patchwork as the vast landscape is divided by colorful fields. Since the hilly area cultivates a number of crops such as wheat, beans, millet, buckwheat, and potatoes, the crops have different shapes and colors and they look like a patchwork from a distance. Patchwork refers to handicraft where a large cloth is made by sewing together a lot of smaller pieces of cloth with different colors, shapes, size, and patterns. Before the Industrial Revolution, patchwork was made by using leftover pieces of cloth. Now that textile production has become more widespread, patchwork is settled as a design of art. What you see here is the symbol mark given by the Association of the Most Beautiful Villages in Japan. In BA, there are many flags and signs with the mark stating that BA is one of the most beautiful villages in Japan. The village inhabitants were at first somewhat embarrassed by the symbol, but now they are proud and pleased of it. The Association of the Most Villages in Japan was first launched in BA, Kaido in 2005. It was when small villages were merged as part of the Japanese government's policy and the country started to face a decrease in population and aging society. It was also when each village began to feel a sense of crisis over how they can protect their natural environment, culture, and other regional resources. Hamada Satoshi, BA town mayor and president of the Association of the Most Beautiful Villages in Japan, has found the answer for solving such concerns from the Most Beautiful Villages of France. Established in 1980s, the Most Beautiful Villages of France is a success case of which small villages combine efforts to utilize their scenery and culture as tourism resources to attract many visitors. Having benchmarked the Most Beautiful Villages of France, the Association of the Most Beautiful Villages in Japan began the movement of creating the most beautiful village by preserving the agricultural scenery and culture with the ultimate goal of village independence. In order to join the association, the village population should be less than 1 million inhabitants. Temples can join the association as well. However, there is a deliberation process to examine whether it is clear that the village or temple has natural scenery or culture to be preserved and whether the inhabitants are making efforts to preserve such heritage. The annual fees amount to tens of thousands of yen based on the population of the village. The eligibility of the village will be examined on a 5-year term. Therefore, it is not easy to join and maintain membership in the association. Even so, the number of member villages is increasing. More villages are lining up to join the association. It will be an important task to preserve the agricultural life and land while providing a healing space for city dwellers and tourists. I will now briefly go over Kawaba in Japan, emerging as a popular tourist destination. Located 3.5 hours from Tokyo, Kawaba is a typically hilly and mountainous agricultural village where the forest area accounts for 83% of the land and the elderly accounts for 40% of the population. Kawaba is now one of the most popular agricultural villages in Japan, where more than 2 million tourists visit the village every year. Nevertheless, it was not an easy journey. There were many temptations along the way. Some companies from outside wanted to make a large-scale investment in the village to build a resort and recreational facilities but failed due to the oppositions from the village chief and inhabitants. Kawaba village of today is the result of the strong will and action of the inhabitants to promote village-led development in the agricultural and fishing village. Under the leadership of the village chief, the inhabitants raised their capacity to develop the village while not degrading the environment. By running a steam locomotive and 7 sleeping cars that had once stopped operating, more tourists started to visit the village. After establishing sisterhood relations with Setagaya-ku of Tokyo, Kawaba gained momentum in building small and large business, such as creating a health village and operating direct stores for agricultural produce. Kawaba village is one of the success cases of an agricultural village that earned profit by grafting tourism onto farming. I am working as an agricultural training consultant in Korea, but I truly think that Kawaba village has many elements that can be benchmarked. Here the pictures show the view of Kawaba village, the steam locomotive and direct store of agricultural produce. Next, I will move on to Europe and let's look at Byberry village in Cotswolds, England. The Cotswold area, which is hills in central southwest England, lying across 6 counties, has the most beautiful villages in England. After visiting Cotswolds, Bill Bryson, an American travel writer, quoted, "The English countryside is the most staggeringly beautiful place." Cotswolds had been the center of the wool industry in the Middle Ages. Even though the wool industry has declined following industrialization, the village has well kept its olden days charm. Ever since the wealthy people started to move to Cotswold for some time past, the place is now known as the vacation spot for the rich. For Londoners, it is their dream to buy a second house in Cotswold and stay there during weekends. The low stone walls and pastoral scenery of Cotswolds remind me of Jeju Island of Korea, except for the fact that the stone walls and houses are made of basalt in Jeju. For such reasons, the Cotswold Way National Trail has signed a friendship trail with Jeju Oil Trail. The Cotswold area has been designated as an area of outstanding natural beauty to protect its natural beautiful landscapes. In Britain, AONBs are designated to regions with naturally beautiful landscapes to conserve the scenery. The footpath map provides trail routes where tourists can wander around the village while having the chance to see historic buildings, village roads, and meadows. Here the pictures show the middle-aged houses and views of the village. Let's move on to Germany. First, Dottenfelder Hof. Ever since 5 families came together and established a collective farm in 1968, Dottenfelder Hof is a village cooperative community that runs an organic farm and a school. The 7-hectare farm is cultivated by 80 farm employees and their families. There are supermarkets, bakeries, and coffee shops in the farm that sell Demeter certified organic agricultural produce. Various agricultural products are cultivated on a 12-year cycle. About half of the farming area is shared between farmers, of which 50% of the land is used for various crops, 17% for root and tuber crops such as potatoes, radishes, and carrots, and 33% for green manure crops like alfalfa are the cultivation of the land. From the rest of the farming area, 40 hectares of the land is used to grow livestock, while 4 hectares of the land is used to supply local vegetables to nearby villages. Another 4 hectares of the land is used to plant and grow fruits including apples, peaches, and pears, and the inhabitants make organic apple juice with the apples and sell them at cafe. The cafeteria sells home-baked bread and homemade dairy products. farm animals are fed with the organic agricultural products produced in the farm, and the livestock excretions are fully fermented to be used as compost. The milk from milk cow is processed into cheese, the produced grains are made into bread, and the agricultural produce cultivated in the farm are made into processed goods. About 90% of them are sold in nearby markets. There are 2 markets run by the farm, and sometimes the products are sold as festivals held within the region. The supermarkets and bakeries are always crowded with Frankfurt citizens who come to buy the world's best quality organic agricultural produce. The farm includes an international school for organic farms that is 1-year course and is officially recognized by the Federal Ministry of Education and Research. Students from all across the world learn from Rudolf Steiner's anthroposophy and biodynamic agriculture through practical training. The reason why Dottenfelder Hof could last long in business is because the 5 families did not break apart. Important decisions were made and promoted only with the unanimous approval from the representatives of each family. Also, as Frankfurt, a large city, was located near the farm, they did not face any difficulty in selling premium organic agricultural produce. Even though the organic agricultural produce from Dottenfelder Hof is more expensive than general organic agricultural produce, the consumers support the organic philosophy and agricultural technique adopted by Dottenfelder Hof, leading to expansion of cooperative markets. Nevertheless, Dottenfelder Hof does not engage in farming to earn profit. If they had produced organic agricultural produce to make money, they would not have succeeded in the first place. The employees in the farm are those who have left their city jobs that most people would have wanted to invest more times in their families, community, and nature, even if that means to earn less. The farm also independently operates a breeding research institute to produce sustainable and healthy agricultural produce. Let's summarize the success factors. First, they are persistent in cultivating 100% organic agricultural produce. Second, they're making relentless efforts to preserve healthy seeds. Third, the relationship between farmers and consumers are built on high trust by operating direct stores and local markets where the farmers can directly meet with not only the village inhabitants but also city dwellers. You can see through the pictures the view of Dottenfelder Hof, eco-friendly farming, the Breeding Research Institute, and direct stores and restaurant. In Germany, a Kleingarten refers to an almond garden. A Kleingarten means a small garden in German. City dwellers can rent Kleingärtens to do their gardening during weekends. Since Kleingartens are designated as urban facilities, the concept is somewhat different from Korea's family garden that use small piece of land. Each Kleingarten has its own hut and small garden so that people can use the space to rest and enjoy. There are around 1 million Kleingartens in Germany, and most of them are owned by local communities, religious groups, or public railroad administration. Individual Kleingarten owners account for only 10% of the total number of Kleingartens. A Kleingarten should not be commercially used, and the cultivated produce should be for individual demand and leisure purposes only. You cannot sell the cultivated produce within the plot. In addition, a Kleingarten should be under public facilities, and an address should not be given as it is not a vegan house. The rental area is within 400 square meters, and the annual rental fee is around 150,000 won, although it may differ according to the region and conditions. Temporary lodging is allowed during weekends or holidays, but continuous residence is not permitted. There is no limit to renting a Kleingarten just as long the person renting the plot is alive. Therefore, people have to wait several years to get an allotment. Nonetheless, the socially vulnerable will be given a priority to rent a Kleingarten. Kleingartens were used to supply food to city dwellers during the war and also played a significant role in assisting the livelihood of the people during the Great Depression. Now Kleingartens have turned into a space of leisure and relaxation. By ensuring priority to children, the disabled, the elderly, and unemployed and immigrants for renting a kindergarten, it acts as a safety net to be more considerate toward the socially vulnerable and to promote harmonization and cooperation between people. A kindergarten not only plays a biological protection function by planting plants or crops that suit the regional ecosystem, but also acts as a fort for sustainable environment by conducting eco-friendly agricultural technique. Next, I would like to talk about care farms in the Netherlands. First, let's briefly look into the Dutch agriculture. The area of the Netherlands is about half the area of Korea, and the population amounts to 17 million people. As the second largest agricultural exporter in the world following the US, the Netherlands is a hidden champion in the agricultural industry. The global competitiveness of the Netherlands is the agricultural sector is attributed to its basic research on the sector and its advanced education infrastructure. This had led to the maximization of production efficiency. The average area under cultivation per farms is 19.97 hectares, and the country has 4.5 times higher productivity than the EU average. As an agricultural powerhouse, the Netherlands is also equipped with the world's best infrastructure for the care industry, including care farming, a new kind of farming practice. It was in the late 1990s when care farming began to take off in the Netherlands. There were farms that worked with the disabled in the past, albeit the numbers of farms were small. Care farms were able to gain the attention from a widespread of people and rise to prominence due to civic groups who insisted on alternative agriculture and health care. National farmers' organizations have given support to the groups. As a result of their efforts, the government established a temporary organization to support healing agriculture. Thanks to the success of care farms and undergoing several institutional transitions on the sidelines, the care farming is now recognized as a social system. At present, there are about 1,250 care farms across the Netherlands. The number of farms is maintained in a stable manner, and a care farm can be dedicated to a specific group of people such as children or the elderly people or people with different kinds of disabilities. In this regard, a care farm user can choose a care farm that best suits his or her needs. The effect of care farming is often described as the concept of green care, the healthy effect gained from green environment. The positive impact of green environment on one's health has long been introduced and numerous research results prove the effect. Nevertheless, the effect of care farming is not confined to the passive experience where you feel better due to the green natural environment. Since most of the care farm users live in their own houses and visit the farm during the day, care farms are operated based on e-care center. Depending on the user of care farm and what he or she is capable of, the care farm program will be operated in a flexible manner. In other words, care farms mainly used by the elderly, in particular, dementia patients, and care farms used by children or general adults will be operated under different programs. Care farms for our younger people will more focus on improving their symptoms, while care farms for the elderly will try to help them enjoy their day out. In general, the elderly are highly satisfied with care farms because they can choose whatever function they would like to perform, such as feeding and taking care of animals, gardening, cultivating the farm, trekking, riding bicycle, hiking, cooking, or cleaning. The elderly with dementia can also end their lives with dignity by freely wandering around the farm rather than lying in a dull hospital ward. Since horses are good for treating autism spectrum disorder, many care farms raise horses and provide therapeutic and coaching programs using horses. Some care farms have employees qualified as teacher status, so to help children who are unable to go to school receive formal education. Let me show you another Dutch care farm. It was built in 2005 and is owned by a couple. A farm includes a kitchen garden, a livestock shed, a horse riding course, a carpenter's place, and dining facility. They opened the Care Farm with the land inherited from their parents. As there was only the farmland, they were supported with 100,000 areas to build necessary facilities to provide Care Farm services. They provide various Care Farm services to the elderly, dementia patients, and youth with developmental disorders. They also hired 2 employees for the planning and operating of Care Farm programs. Currently, the Care Farm does not sell agricultural produce but creates profit only through Care Farm services. However, they plan to run a restaurant for the diversification of profit. The annual sales of the Care Farm are 600,000 euros. Since the profit is earned through Care Farm services, most of the sales are generated from the Social Support Act of the local government. Now the US. When it comes to wine, we tend to think of France as the foremost producer of the world's best wines and regard the US as not on the same level as France. However, American wines are now known as the New World wines, and they are leading the wine industry, standing shoulder to shoulder with European wines. Having said that, I'm going to touch on California's Napa Valley wine industry, where the leading wineries in the US are located. Napa Valley, the land bestowed by God, starts at the 89-kilometer northeast of San Francisco and is the home to the most famous wineries in California, US. Napa Valley goes 50 kilometers to northwest. While the total vineyard area in California is 470,000 acres, the vineyard area of Napa Valley is only 4,003,259 acres, and its production accounts for less than 10% of the total production. In terms of sales, however, Napa Valley wines account for more than 30% of the total sales of California wines. Put differently, Napa Valley is producing expensive and fine wine. Napa Valley wines are high-priced. In fact, some Cabernet Sauvignon red wines and Chardonnay white wines produced from famous Napa Valley wineries cost more than $100,000. Then why is Napa Valley wine famous? Napa Valley is the heaven of grapes, and the climate of the Pacific Ocean provides cooling effect following the increase in humidity and the mist in the morning. The California sun that shines throughout the day provides full vitality to grapes, and the precipitation of California is also suitable with 57.5 to 150 centimeters each day. Located at 92 to 370 meters altitude, the vineyards can feel both the sun and cool air. Due to the volcanic eruption at Mountain Helena, the vineyards of Napa Valley are reddish-brown and covered with volcanic ash. Too much water is critical to grapes. As the soil of Napa Valley drains water easily, the sugar content of grapes will increase, and this is why there are so many outstanding grapes to make the best wines in Napa Valley. I would like to share with you a story about how American wine has surprised the world. We call this story the Judgment of Paris. The story begins with Stephen Spurrier. As a successful British wine merchant, he was running a wine shop and wine school in Paris. It happened in 1976. To commemorate the 200th anniversary of the American Independence Day, Stephen organized a fun event. It was a blind tasting of French and American wines. Judges composed of wine experts in France came together at Intercontinental Paris and held a blind tasting of 5 different types of red wine and 5 different types of white wine. Both American red and white wines were rated the best. This event was covered by the Times under the title The Judgment of Paris. Ever since then, people across the world started to eye on American wines. To mark the 30th anniversary of the Judgment of Paris, the Re-Judgment of Paris was conducted in 2006. Again, California's Cabernet Sauvignon received the highest score. This time, French wine experts could not but admit the high quality of American wine. Now let's move on to Robert Mondavi, the king of American wine and the person who brought fame to Napa Valley's wine industry. Then who is Robert Mondavi? He is an important figure for the success of Napa Valley, but we should actually talk about his role as a leader who revived the original agricultural economy by connecting agriculture with grape industry. After studying business administration at Stanford University, he, with his father and brother, purchased Charles Krug Winery, then the largest winery in Napa Valley, and took a step into the wine business. He has tried numerous ways in producing wine, such as introducing stainless steel tanks as opposed to oak barrels during wine fermentation process. Many of his efforts have made headlines across the world. It was also Robert Mondavi who first brought the idea of wine tourism in Napa Valley. Robert wanted wineries to be not just a place that produces wine, but a place where tourists can visit and enjoy wine, food and culture and return home feeling good and refreshed. Now Napa Valley is the most popular destination in California as he had wished. While Robert wanted to make the finest French Bordeaux style of wine, his father and brother favored American style of light-bodied easy wine. Everything they did led to conflicts and family disputes. The fact that Robert Mondavi alone was invited to the White House had been decisive in their separation. Robert Mondavi was 53 when he first opened his own winery. As soon as he launched his winery, he has received tremendous attention from the industry and he became a big shot in the American wine industry. In the 1970s, he was the first in the U.S. to produce the export of fine California wine. In 1979, Robert Mondavi joined hands with Rothschild, one of the biggest names in Bordeaux, and established Opus One, a world-class wine in Napa Valley. Despite the fact that Robert Mondavi has many achievements in the wine industry, his biggest achievement of all would be his generous sharing of information on wine with other wineries in Napa Valley based on his philosophy that not just himself but Napa Valley needs to succeed for the wine industry to grow and develop. This shows his true leadership qualities. He said, "It is easy to dream, but it is not easy to realize your dream. With enough hard work and faith in yourself, you can realize your dream." So far, I have shown you various development practices of agricultural and fishing villages in not only Korea but also agriculture developed countries including Japan, Germany, and Netherlands, and the US. I have talked about how they had utilized tangible and intangible resources to increase income of agricultural households. At the site of agricultural area development projects in Korea, issues are constantly raised over the needs for enhancing the capacity of inhabitants and for continuous management of infrastructure. Furthermore, it is often the case that the facilities built as part of agricultural area development project are now neglected and damaged due to the storage of budget or capacity of operational entities such as local governments or inhabitants. In order to solve this problem, capacity enhancement of operational entity for follow-up management is significant than ever, and government support is also necessary. To ensure a happy life in the agricultural area in spite of the difficulties such as the aging society and extinction of provinces, it is crucial to turn the agricultural area into a desirable place to live. Not only it is necessary to move away from the primary industry of farming, it is essential to build strategies to maintain happy life by analyzing the success cases of other countries and seeking for improvement measures that suit the agricultural areas in Korea. This ends my lecture on the 6 industrialization development practices of agricultural and fishing villages in Korea and other countries in the world and their implications. Thank you.